My name is Bruce Grace, Product Specialist here at Atlas Copco, and today I want to help you navigate ToolsTalk MicroTorque. ToolsTalk MicroTorque is our programming and communication software that's included with all of our MicroTorque products. We'll walk through each tab step by step so that you understand the different functionalities of the software. So, let's dive into it. So when you open the software, you're going to see on the left side all of your different connection options. You can see here that I'm actually connected to a controller USB, so it's populating. But if you were to have a controller connected either via serial or Ethernet, you'd see the controller populate there as well. You can also save favorite controllers so that if you're working with a list of controllers, you can find the ones you need quickly. And another cool feature to mention is the offline mode. Offline mode, you can actually go into a controller virtually by selecting virtual device. It's going to come up and ask you for a specific tool type. If you pick a tool and select OK, now it's acting as a virtual controller. And you can go into the software and create tightening programs, identifiers, batches, and save them so that later when you're actually plugged into a controller and communicating, you can load those settings into that controller so you can work without having one at your disposal. Let's go back, and I'm actually going to click here under USB where I'm connected to the controller USB so we can take a look at what's in the software. So now that I'm logged in, you can see the serial number of the controller up top here on the left. Let's walk through each different menu selection so that you become more familiar with the software. The first one is going to be tightening. Here you can see that I have a bunch of different saved P-sets or tightening programs. This is where you can save your P-sets. You can also edit them, and you can also add them. So here you can see add, open, or delete. If we click on an existing P-set, it's going to open the P-set and all the different settings for it. This is where you'd actually edit your tightening program. You can also test the tightening program and activate it from this selection. If we go back, you can also add new tightening programs by selecting the Add tab. Here it's going to ask you for a name. You can click OK, and then it's going to populate on your list of saved P-sets. Again, to edit, you're just going to double click on the selected tightening program, and your settings will populate. Now it's important whenever you change settings within this software that you come up over here to this arrow in the circle and save all changes permanently to your controller. Next, let's talk about batch. So here, the next menu selection is a list over all of your batch sequences. Just like your P-sets, you're going to see a list of all of the saved batch sequences. You can also edit by double-clicking on them. And you can also add by using the Add tab. Again, it's going to ask you for a name. Once you click OK, it populates on the list of saved batches. Double-click, and your settings will open. Same process for identifiers, which is the next menu selection. All of your saved identifiers. You can add. You can also add barcode strings for your identifier. And you can edit by double-clicking to change your settings. The next menu selection is configurations. So configurations are per tool type. Here again, you have different saved configurations that you already have saved in your controller. To edit, double-click, opens your settings menu. Or to add, select Add, and you can add it to your saved list. Now also on all of these menu selections we've gone through, there's also been an Open tab. What we talked about before is you can actually save these programs or batches or identifiers to a USB stick or to a hard drive and then import them later on into your controller. Let's go to the next menu option, which is Analysis. Here, if you're connected via USB, you can actually see live graphs of the tightening. You can look at the value table of your rundowns. You can open, save, and export your different traces, which is really cool. You can change the different settings of your analysis, so where it's being stored to, what you want to see. And you can change the path that you're storing to here, an option to show multiple results at once, so you see more than one trace at the same time. The next menu option is to show results. So here there's actually three different things. If you click on this tab, you can see step results, the results of each individual step, and then events for the controller, or in other words, error codes. So if we click on this, you can see that there was a battery discharge error. All the different results of the controller saves will be in this location. The next tab is to manage your tool settings. Really, this is just information about your tool. The only things that you can edit here are your calibration interval and your calibration cycles, or you can factory reset the tool. The next tab is for your controller settings. There's a lot more to edit here. You can edit your controller name, and you can see just all of these different variables that you can change within the controller itself. From this menu, you can also see a vacuum pressure live in real time if you're connected to a vacuum pump. If you're not, it'll populate no vacuum received. You can capture the controller screen, which actually captures a picture of the controller, not your ToolsTalk MicroTorque software. So you can save that as an image file. You can update your controller firmware, and you can set the date and time, which will automatically populate whatever date and time you have saved in your PC. The very last selection is general settings, both for your digital I/O. So here's where you can designate what your I/O is. And then you can also change passwords. So you can store up to 3 different passwords in the controller, and then limit functionalities per password on this menu screen. There's a button up here to undo all changes. We talked about this button. This is to save all changes permanently to your controller. And then here, if you click this, you can actually see multiple selections at once by changing the layout of the software itself. Last to mention, these 2 buttons up in the top right corner. So here's your user settings to change your language, your controller unit. And then an important thing to note here is under the question mark is your ToolsTalk MicroTorque version. And if you click on this Help tab, it's actually going to populate this web address where you can go through and see all kinds of different troubleshooting information, getting started information, configuration information, all to help you out in the process. If you want to go back and see the connected controllers or your favorites, you can select this top left menu item. And this is how we actually got into the controller in the beginning. This has been how to navigate ToolsTalk MicroTorque. I hope it's been helpful. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to your Atlas Copco representative. Thanks for watching.